Hey folks, welcome back to the Pulse. My name is Matt, and this is Crypto Heartbeat. It's 11:21 Central Texas time, and it is so good to see you. I have been waiting for this moment for a long time. It was October 1st of 2021 when I started the Pulse Crypto Heartbeat. And what was the purpose of Crypto Heartbeat? It was to talk about what Richard Hart was doing with the Pulsechain. And the Pulsechain, folks, the Pulsechain is a new Ethereum fork. What's an Ethereum fork? Ethereum 2.0, it's a fork. It's more like a spork. It's a spoon and a fork. What is it? It copies over the entire system state of Ethereum 2.0, which means every single ERC20 token that you've got in your wallet gets a copy on the Pulsechain. Richard Hart is about to drop the mother of all bombs on the crypto market. And folks, the fact that you were here at the beginning, you saw it when it happened. You sacrificed for freedom of speech and freedom of movement, $1.6 billion accumulated. This is the sweat of your brow, folks. This is a proxy for your labor. And so for the next 18 months, what did I do? Started saying, it's so close, guys. It's so close. And every single time I was wrong. And I still keeping a stiff upper lip, staying on the course, even through the bear market. Folks, it's coming. And here's why I know it's coming. And I'm leaning into this one, folks. Take a look at this. This is the most recent update an hour ago from the man, the legend, Richard Hart. Pulsechain.com and PulseX News. Everything is up and running privately. The staking website is being cleaned up, so it's easy for you, the validators, to get started. It's 32 million testnet Pulse. To be a validator, they're fixing the batch deposit feature, but this is really what I wanted to show you. This is a comment on this from Richard Hart. You probably saw this, right? This is from, I don't know, not long ago. There are no blockers except for that convenience of batch adding your validators. Could easily go live without the batch feature in the staking launchpad, or it might fix easily. So this is kind of last bug, and they don't actually have to fix the last bug. Basically, testnet V3 is so close. That's why we're streaming, folks. Richard Hart, remember when he came out and the dev said, hey, we're launching and it's May 15th, right? He gave a date, and then you just crushed him. He learned. He's gun shy. He's like, I'm not telling you stuff unless it's ready. And so you can take the word of Richard Hart to the bank. Now, is software hard? Yes, we've proven that. But this is a test, my friends, and you've passed the test. This is such an exciting moment. This is something you will mark in history. It's something that's happened. Why? Because of what is happening in the world as we speak. So excited about it. I've got a guest coming on today who's going to tell you all about that. Your mind is going to be blown, literally. What is happening? The culmination of this, and this is what is so crazy to me. If you watch Crypto Heartbeat, you know this stuff. There is the synchronicity, as SJ would say. There is an unbelievable favor that's on Richard Hart. You saw it from the beginning. I've seen it from the beginning. And to see the timing of everything, right? Look at what's happening in the world, folks. They're going to arrest Donald Trump. Okay, that's pretty big news, right? Literally destroy the entire judicial system of the United States of America and potentially the Western world because you're bloodthirsty. Number two, what's going to happen at the FOMC meeting later today? They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, folks. This is unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you something. We saw the decorrelation of crypto with Bitcoin away from what I consider to be the banking system, right? We've often talked about the fact that Bitcoin or crypto in general, but let's just call it DeFi, would at some point in time be seen as a safe haven. And it hasn't been until SVB went down, right? And now all the regulations are coming. But guess what they're coming for? anyone that can be come for, meaning anyone with a centralized address. Hey, can somebody like put it in the chat what the address for Hex is? Yeah, no, where the central office is, where the corporate office is. No, can you show me who the shareholders are? Right? Can you show me the organization? Show me who the head of marketing is. No, just put it in the chat. Show me where they're incorporated. Show me the jurisdiction that they're under. Oh, they're not. That's interesting. DeFi, baby. Your understanding of what is happening, I don't care how hard they want to go after regulations, you can't stop DeFi. Cat's out of the bag. Pandora's box is open. Folks, this is what we have been waiting for. The world's about to change in a big, big, big way. Are you ready? Are you ready for it? Objects in the mirror appear closer. And that is, I just love that thumbnail. Hopefully you like it too. Pulsechain is so close. So what does it mean? So Richard, obviously, when he communicates this so close like that, it says to me, all right, you can take that to the bank. We are so close. So what's going to happen, and what do you need to do, and how do you need to be prepared for the Pulsechain launch? I mean, you can't even believe it's happening. Neither can I. You're just like, what? Is it really now? And then with all of these things in the world coming together, it's like, Richard Hart, hold on a second. Are you a prophet? Right? You look at the launch of Hex and when it launched and how it launched and what it was able to do. And you're like, there's some favor on this, folks. And if you know what I mean, not the flavor, the favor. It's got some flavor too. Thanks for joining the Pulse today. My name is Matt. We got a guest on today here in a couple minutes. Super excited for that. We're going to be talking about all of this stuff. But folks, I am pumped up. I mean, this is why I started a channel. Like literally, I've been doing this, waiting for this moment where we could actually say we are on the eve of the Pulsechain launch. So V3 is going to come out, right? They get the validators set. Obviously, people spinning up these validators, and it's a different program than it was before because this is Ethereum 2.0, but there's still validators. So Richard's going to have all that stuff set. I'm sure there'll be little things that they're wanting to button up. Things don't always or ever go to plan. But for him to say, hey, we got this thing running and we're ready to go. So we're going to have the Pulsechain testnet V3, and you're going to literally have a short window of time where you need to be able to connect, get your test pulse, understand how things work, PulseX, everything, right? There's tons of content out there of what you could do, what you could see. But there's some warnings that come with this as well. And that is, we know that there's probably going to be a 48-hour period. And Richard's going to talk about this. So I'm not the horse's mouth. He's the horse's mouth. He probably will do a stream. He will probably tell you what's going on. There's going to be a time period in between time where there's going to be, the bridge, before the bridge goes up, right? There's going to be some people and some opportunity likely to swap some things before things go fully live with liquidity and everything. He's going to describe that detail. I don't know what he's going to say, but the point is we know that there's a period of time. So we're in the know. So anyone that you know who sacrificed for Pulse or PulseX, anybody who's in Hex, anybody's in this Richard Hart ecosystem, this is the beginning of something amazing. If you watched Maddie Allen last night on the gang, right? It was an awesome time visiting with Crispy Man and SJ and Maddie all in last night. We were talking about the community, and he called it the layer zero. We are what makes this work, folks. It's not the code. It's the leadership of Richard Hart, the innovation of Richard Hart, standing up against centralized parties. He's creating a vertically aligned ecosystem that, in my opinion, is going to set the captives free. We are going to have a vertically aligned ecosystem that we can do business in. Folks, you are a part of history, and it is so close. So close. This is one of the most exciting times because here's the thing, folks. You're about to come into abundance because guess what? Our guest that's about to come in, you know what he's going to tell you? He's going to tell you what's about to happen in the world. And I'm going to tell you, folks, everything is going to change. And how is it that Richard Hart just happens to be launching one of the biggest crypto projects since Bitcoin launched itself right at the right exact time? Does he know something we do not know? I do not think it means what you think it means. This is incredible. But folks, let's welcome our guest because it's the reason that you're here. You're not here for old man crypto heartbeat. You are here for our guest. But in order to do it properly, let's do it properly.
He's not only the CEO, he's the CFO, the CIO, the CMO, the CTO. He's the supreme I done told you. He's the mayor of Sassy City, the commander of couch cushion maintenance. In the islands, he's known as Kinka Maya. He's my ace in the hole, my kid Creole, my Bob doll. He's not internationally known, but he's known to rock the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, the gentle, ginger, giant, genius, and the professor of potent pontification, Brandon from rags to riches.
Folks, you see those baby blues? This is all I can do to get those baby blues myself. Brandon, welcome back.
Yo, that was nightmarish.
It was.
That last scene. Good gosh. Hide the children. Well, hey, I'll tell you this. Hide the wives too. Because
that's right. That's right. Oh my gosh.
Golly.
Dude, what about it? We've been waiting for this for a long time. It's so close, man. What do you think?
Know. I mean, this is what it's all about, man. Here's what's neat, Matt. It's neat to go against the grain for so long.
Yeah.
Go against all the people in crypto that absolutely just try to tear us to shreds. Yep. You know, stand up to the dragon and just flip them off to their face and then have this happen. It's complete vindication for everybody who's stuck around for so long. And I'm happy to be freaking part of it, man.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Well, we're going to get into some alpha. You've got some serious alpha. You've been thinking about this for a long time. I think you have a very unique perspective about what's going on in the world. You're studied up, you're paying attention to this stuff. You bring the color commentary that I think is really important for people to know. Before we get into that drop in the alpha, let's say hello to the chat because they're here for you, my friend. We got 99 people. This is like old school bull run streams for Pulse and PulseX. Dude, I haven't had 99 people in here and still, since we were at the top, baby.
Dude, where's Panda though?
Oh man, Panda,
Crypto Panda, man.
He's coming out of hibernation. He needs a little time, but he's
got to eat some bamboo, get his strength back up.
He needs to be into the bamboo forest. JJ, Ali, what's going on? Pulsechain V3, Ramadan. That's right, Ramadan begins today. Samantha, what's going on? Happy Hump Day to you. DJ and Dougie Peach, it is happening. Chris Side Effects is in the house. Crypto Pez, there you go. What's going on? Our Texans, Yankees or not, no offense. No, Southern States, they joined with the, we'll talk about that later. Hexagon, this one's all about Pulsechain today, my friends. Hexagon, good to see you. Mr. Rock Jockey, Matt, kudos to you and Brandon and John. I support you guys. Thanks so much, man. Sam Kemp in the house. And the older you get, the faster they get closer. That's right. What do you have to say to Sam Kemp, Brandon?
Dude, Sam Kemp puts everybody here to shame, man. I mean, the oldest guy in here, he's got the most wisdom, and he's sharp as a daggone tack. I think he's well read. He understands things. Well done, Sam Kemp.
Sam Kemp is the leader of the no coiners.
Yes,
that's what I think he is. Right?
Yeah, I mean, he's learned crypto in an extremely small amount of time and very well studied. Good job.
You know what Sam would say? He was like, if I can learn this stuff, anybody can learn this stuff, right? AZ Electric in the house. I should be working right now. Hey, it's Brandon. You waste all kinds of time listening to this guy. Top 5 crypto compassion. What's going on? Godfather J6, as usual. Thanks for being here, man. Thanks for the retweet. Francis Powell, Benny Blanco, Pepe's here, David Lee, all the way from Southwestern Indiana. This is the guy who shows the love. Thanks for being here, buddy. Hexacat. If David Feeder's back and Gerardo are back and Crypto Panda are back, we've got ourselves the sign of the apocalypse. Dude.
Wow.
Crypto Chronic, 2 more weeks. That's right, Magnus. Rich Liberation, the future looks bright. Pulse Max, I'm just fired up, dude. Rich Liberation's into Texan. Pulsechain Girl, that song, yeah, it rocks. It definitely does. Good morning, people. D-Gen, Dougie, Shamrocks and Shenanigans here. Cody, Lane, thanks for being a part of the community, man. Let's see who else is here. Jack Handy's here. Side Effects. Gil, stiffer upper lip. You know what that means. Let's go. Text my pulse. Afternoon, Matt. Awesome. God's Child is here. DJ Pollywood. What's up, DJ Pollywood? Great to see you in the chat, man. Blowing our minds. There you go. The only one. We got ourselves a stream here. Prasad, what's going on? Pulse X is here. Crypto Chronic. Crispy. What's up, Crispy? Good to see you. And let's see who else. I want to make sure we say hello. Academaciated is back again. What's up, Juanito? Magnus is here. MN. Charity Dunning. Man, wow. Extravagant Taste. This is a packed house. All right, Brandon, let's get into the alpha that you have. So let's lay the groundwork. We've got Richard Hart saying, and it's his comment on this that to me is why I did the stream. I'm like, holy buckets. He says basically testnet v3 is so close, and he knows what he says. Everyone is hanging on every word that he says. And so this is big, right? This is a big deal. So close means like any moment. Fantastic, super excited. But do you think it's amazing that here we are right up against the FOMC meeting, which is going to be where they determine how much they raise or not the rates, and we are in this banking crisis that could literally explode, and Trump is going to be put in handcuffs and arrested, which is a whole other ball of wax. All right, tell us how, is this a big deal, Rags? Am I getting too excited?
You're just going to throw all that at me, and you're going to expect me to be a chef and just put all these ingredients together and come out with a great product?
Whip it up, bro.
Gosh, dude. All right,
put in some Cheeto dust. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right, here, Cheeto dust. All right, here we go. What's LeBron do?
That's right.
All right. So there's a lot going on. First and foremost, guys, Matt, can I share my, I'm going to share my screen. All right.
Yeah, please do.
Because I just want to get people hyped. I mean, it freaking feels good. Let's share this right here.
Whoa.
All right. So this is awesome. Now, I'm going to tell you why this is awesome. This is the hex chart.
What is
this? Hex chart, right?
Okay, good.
All right. So you guys can see that. Let me make sure. Yeah, you guys can see that. Good. Okay. Here's what's awesome about this, folks. What's awesome about this is that we are only a 3.4x away from all-time high. A 3.4. Now, Matt, I've been on the record multiple times. I'm saying, listen, folks, all-time highs can happen in no time at all. It can happen in a week. All right. It can happen in a week and a half.
I saw someone say that the last time that Hex hit 10 cents, it went to all-time high in 35 days.
Well, let's check. That's got the chart.
Craziness.
Yeah. So what do we got? 10 cents here. Yeah. 10 cents. All right, let's see. All-time high.
Jenkins. I think it was Jenkins who said that. Hat tip to Jenkins.
Yeah, that's I'm not sure exactly where he's measuring from, but I would say that is, I mean, it's certainly very quick.
Yeah.
Based on the angle and trajectory that we're hitting right now.
Yeah.
All-time high is probably, this could occur in April or May.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool, man. I'm pretty excited about this. But this is what it's all about. If you don't know about how crypto operates, the biggest thing that matters, you can have the best tokenomics in the world. You can have the best marketing team ever, but if you don't have people, and if you don't have people that are raving fanatics, fans, then it's not going to go anywhere. We have all the ingredients. We have all the ingredients for Hex. We have all the ingredients for Pulsechain. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch. And here we go, man. Now,
dude, by the way, 11 cents, by the way, pump. It's pumping.
Yes, it's going to pump hard, man. Now here's why, guys, I'm going to remind everybody this. A lot of people in this chat, you guys, I'd say 95% of you have more than just Hex in your wallet. That's just a fact. Okay, guys, the buy one, get one free that deal is almost off, folks.
BOGO.
When Pulsechain launches, you don't get any more BOGO. Now, what do you mean by that, Rags? If you guys are new to the chat, whatever you're holding in your wallet right now is going to be copied over to the Pulsechain. All right. Now I don't take full credit for the BOGO term. I read a post from Johnny Chaos earlier, and I said that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So so guys, there it is. I mean, Matt, it just feels so good, dude. It feels so good when so many people just didn't have faith in this process, and they didn't have faith in what you're supposed to be doing. You build your bags in the bear market.
Yep.
So you can, other people can be your exit liquidity in the bull market. That's just kind of what it is.
Dude, this is so exciting. It feels so good. And of course, you know, guys, here's the thing. We've waited for so long, and so many times it hasn't felt real. You know, I go home pretty much all the time, and she's like, "Oh, you've been on another stream?" My wife's like, "When's that Pulsechain thing going to launch?" And I've been saying it for what, almost 2 years now. Folks, it's going to happen, and then it's going to be the next day. So what's really important here, because my understanding is, and I don't know that I have it all right, but Richard likely is going to be communicating in Twitter, so pay attention there. Likely, I would say he's probably going to do a live stream. And there's going to be a window of time. He's talked about this before. I assume the bridges are open. There's going to be a period of time where he was talking previously about letting people kind of swap their Pulse and PulseX and kind of level out their bags if they wanted to, because there's a lot of people who got into PulseX who did not get into Pulse. It sounds like there's going to be like this weird kind of ratio thing happening in this kind of midterm period. What do you know about that? What can you tell people? And then what's your cautionary tale?
Okay, so originally when we had the Binance, the BSC fork with the Pirelli consensus code, originally that was what Pulsechain was going to be. And Richard said, "Hey, I'm going to give you guys 2 or 3 days heads up before Pulsechain launches to get yourself in order here, get your affairs in order." Richard just recently said that after V3 launches, Pulsechain can literally launch at any time.
Yeah.
So we're going to take that. We'll take that information from the past and we're just throwing it out. And now what we're saying is that V3 launches at any given time. Mainnet can launch after that. So what are the implications for this? I'd say probably the biggest implication, and a lot of the questions that I'm receiving, is what can we do to get value over to the Pulsechain so we can be participating day one?
Yeah.
The problem with this is USDC, USDT, and DAI. These are collateralized stable coins, which means on Ethereum, for every USDC, there is a dollar or treasury-backed equivalent. So they can't just print these things out of thin air. They actually have to burn them when they're sold. So it's always 1-to-1. Now, what the problem is with that, if you're holding USDC at the Pulsechain fork, there's a strong chance that those USDC, they might not have any value on the Pulsechain. So I think what you're seeing right now, you're seeing projects pump because people realize the things that are almost guaranteed to hold value are the things in our ecosystem right now that are trading and holding value well. We're going to look at the hexes. We're going to look at the derivatives. We're going to look at, the maxis. We're going to look at the Texans. These are things that are holding their value well. So people are buying them now, betting on them being copied over and holding value day one so they can participate in swapping and this and that. Now, what's the issue here? There's something called a bridge. And what a bridge does, it moves economic energy from one chain to the other chain. So if we have Ethereum, how, if our arm ramp is Ethereum through Coinbase, how are we going to get that economic energy over to Pulsechain? Well, there's going to be a bridge. And essentially what a bridge does, let's take Hex, for example. Let's say you have Hex on Ethereum. It's going to take your Hex on Ethereum. You interact with this bridge. It locks up your Ethereum Hex, and then it issues you P Hex, for example. And that's not exactly the way it is, but I just want to give you guys it moves economic energy over.
Yeah.
The problem is, will the bridge be active day one? If the bridge isn't active day one, this is the issue that we run into. All of the prices on PulseX won't be tied back to any value on the Ethereum chain. So for a couple days, the ratios between different trading pairs can be very, very, very off. And you have to be very, very careful, in my opinion, about swapping things pre-bridge. Yeah. I'm telling all my people in my chats, I'm like, guys, this is the long game. You could certainly like strike it big and get lucky, but you don't have to be lucky in this game. You just have to stay alive. So be very careful about trading things on Pulsechain prior to that bridge being established, because that bridge determines value on Pulsechain. And I know that's pretty broad. I tried my best to break it down for some of the new folks in here, but just be careful. Don't nuke your account.
Yeah, no, that's awesome advice. So folks, if you just joined us, we've got 160 people. I have not seen this kind of live stream since the bull run. So folks, that in and of itself, the fact that you're here to hear about the fact that Pulsechain is so close, it's why I even started a channel. It's how I got connected to Brandon and Crypto Panda. But folks, this has been the most incredible ride of my life. Completely changed my life doing this with all of y'all. And so I'm just super thrilled that we've got this. And you know what? I want to kind of take it to, even a bigger picture, Brandon, because I want you to talk about the FOMC meeting and all of that stuff. Folks, I think when we started all of this stuff, we were like, hey, this is cool. We could, it's a fork. It's a layer one. And we looked at layer ones. And then we looked at DEXs when PulseX was announced. We're like, oh, yeah, what have things done in the past? Well, there are economic factors that are happening right now that could change the very trajectory of all of this stuff. And I think that, from my perspective, there's a decoupling that's happening because crypto is being seen as a safe haven, right? And where do people rush to when things are uncertain, right? We got bank runs, we got bank failures, we've got crazy inflation, we've got, China and Russia buddying up, we've got the BRICS nations really trying to push back on the dollar world, and it's going to reach ahead. And it's very possible that it's triggered today at 2:30 during the FOMC meeting. What do you think the implications of this are, and what are the potential options on the FOMC?
All right. So you and I talked on the phone earlier, and we kind of went into pretty big detail. Here's the problem, folks. The problem is with our current financial system that's not only in the United States, but adopted pretty much all over the world. It's fractionalized banking. It's an issue. If you don't know what that is, just Google it. We're getting to the point now where we're running out of tools to be able to get inflation under control. All right. So inflation, we need it around 2%. If you look at all the economists throughout, the Swiss economists and Milton Friedman and all these folks, they agree that 2% with very small amounts of government intervention is important. Right now, we're sitting at about 6%. All right. That's a really big issue. We're continuing to actually raise rates every single month, but inflation is not decreasing at the rate that we would like to see. What's the issue with this? The issue with this is runaway inflation. The issue with this is hyperinflation. If you guys don't understand what that is, a cup of coffee in Zimbabwe during a hyperinflationary period, one day it can cost $1. 24 hours later, it can cost $2. 24 hours later, $4. 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks later, you have a cup of coffee that could cost hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. That's the problem with hyperinflation. They want to get it under control. They want to nip it in the bud. Well, what's the issue with this? The issue with this is, well, look, we have really strong jobs reports. That's really, really bad. In any other situation, that would be good. But strong job report means what? That means that more people are employed, more people are getting paychecks. If they're getting paychecks, they're taking that money and they're spending it on goods and services that are in low demand right now. Why? I mean, high demand. Why are they in high demand? It's because the government gave out so much money to so many people for the past 2 or 3 years. There's a massive supply of money, and people are using that supply of money and they're buying things up unnaturally. Okay, this was not a 1-for-1 value to unit of labor swap here. Yeah. This was the government coming in and boom, dropping money on everybody. Now they're spending it, and it's really straining the supply chains and everything. Okay, so what's the significance here? If the Fed comes out today and they say, you know what, guys, 50 basis points, we're going to raise interest rates because we're trying to slow the economy down. What's that going to signal? To a smart person, to a wise person, that signals, hey, everything's good right now. We're sticking to our plan, 50 basis points. We're going to go ahead and do that. That's good. Now, what if they say 25 basis points, which is what it was last month? Okay, 25 basis points. All right, well, we don't have as much confidence right now, but 25 basis points, it's not horrible. What if they pause? Guys, if they pause, the markets will probably, some markets might pump, but if they pause, that's a major issue, Matt.
Yeah.
Now, why is that a major issue? It's because they're signaling that they have done too much. It's too strong, and the whole world is on the edge of collapse. Now, I'm going to give you some information that backs that up. Matt, what if they actually decrease? What if they decrease by 25 basis points?
Is that even a possibility, you think?
It's a possibility. Now, here's why it's a possibility. Let's talk about a couple things here. If we look at, this was, I'm on the federalreserve.gov website, news events, press releases. On March 19th at 5 p.m., there was a press release by the Fed that says coordinated central bank action to enhance the provision of U.S. dollar liquidity. What the hell does that mean? Well, it says the Bank of Canada, the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan, European Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, the Swiss National Bank are today announcing a coordinated action to enhance the provision of liquidity via the standing U.S. dollar liquidity swap line arrangements. Well, then you ask what's a swap line? Okay, we got to understand what they're talking about here. In economics and finance, swap lines refer to the agreements that central banks have to exchange one currency to another currency at a predetermined exchange rate. Okay, so this means it's a predetermined exchange rate. It is not a market-driven exchange rate. They come to an agreement in bad economic times that regardless of what the market is saying that this asset is worth, we are going to trade this asset here. And why do they do that? Because they want to remove volatility from the equation. If there is a run on banks, they want everything to be level across the board. In my opinion, Matt, they're creating these swap lines and they're bailing banks out with really, really cheap money last week.
Yep.
And they're doing all these things to pad the economy for potential calamity. I really think that's what's happening. And I think it all hinges upon how the market takes the rate hikes today with the Fed. We're at a tipping point right now. Tipping point in a really big way.
All right, so let me break this down. What I hear you saying, and I think I need to put my tinfoil hat on for this one. But let me cast out something that I think is could be conspiracy. But I want to see what you think about this. So I'm going to paint the worst possible scenario. They've known that this is happening. This is actually a function of the Great Reset, and that what they're ultimately doing is what we talked about months and months ago about Shemitah and the year of Jubilee, which is in the Jewish tradition is where you forgive all of the debts and you reset and restart. What's been happening with globalism, what's happening with the World Economic Forum, that actually they wanted to take us to the edge. And they said, we're going to raise rates really fast. These things are going to break. But what we're going to do is we're going to create such a tremendous issue that all of the Western world, central banks and everybody are basically going to agree, and they agreed ahead of time because of this, swap, that we are going to wholesale altogether reset the balance sheet to zero and issue the CBDCs. Is that tinfoil hat talk?
No, that's being a student of history. We run up a deficit, and then societies issue debt to try to pay for that, and then they debase the currency by printing more. And eventually it becomes so large and so grand and so titanic, the debt, that it can't be paid back to anybody. And when you have a global market like this that is so interconnected, I've said this many times, United States catches a cold, the rest of the world catches the flu. It's in every central bank's best interest to work together on this. I think that we see debt disappear. And I also think we see what we've seen in the past with many societies where they wipe the debt clean, okay, just done, and then they issue new currency. And this has
Wow.
happened many times. Now, what are we seeing? We see the Fed Now system as the infrastructure. Okay. And that's supposed to be rolling out in July, infrastructure for the CBDC. Every government across the world, India and Pakistan and the UK, in conjunction with XRP and the Ripple folks in the United States and in China and Japan, all these folks are researching CBDCs, and they're getting rolled out. Mind you, they're getting rolled out with no vote, with no conversation, with no debate. Unelected bureaucrats are making these decisions that are going to affect the entire world. So the question is this a transition period between the old way of doing things? They know they've screwed things up for 100 years with centralized banking. They know they've screwed things up. And now they're like, okay, we got to pivot. We're going to go ahead and do what everybody else did in history. And we're going to roll the CBDC out as the new currency. It would be, now this is a stretch, obviously,
Yeah.
but not really a stretch if you have time horizons and centuries. Okay. It's not really a stretch. So where are we on that scale? I don't know.
Well, think about this. Let's say you're a leader. So let's say you're a president or you're a part of the Fed. You're a big time leader.
Mhm.
You know, you're going to say, so I'm going to assume, Rags, you're the boss. And you say, all right, get the best thinkers to come in and give me their briefing on how we're the economy, what our options are. And so you get all of these super smart minds. And what do super smart minds do? They know history, they know what's happened in the past, and they're going to come and say to you, hey, here are your options, man.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that what I've been hearing across the board is, China's population collapse, seeing all sorts of things that are bad news. You see, obviously, good and evil fighting forces of, climate change and people, worshiping at that altar. I look at, prophecy and, things in the spiritual realm, and I go, okay, well, this has been forecast, right? One world government, right? This idea of why. And I was listening to somebody talk about how the fact that you better hope that, Ukraine wins this war against Russia, which is almost laughable right now. But if you think about really what is happening, is that what do people do when they get boxed into a corner, right? Well, they use their trump card. And what's their trump card? In many cases, it can be nukes. So what are we trying to do here? This great reset that was foreshadowed as something of maybe a cultural, social one, and we see the remnants of it, or we see the indicators of it. Things like, the 15-minute city, and the COVID lockdowns, and nitrogen in the farmers in the Netherlands, and authoritarians on the rise. People know that money is the controlling factor. You control the money and you control people. And so if you know that digitizing is coming, that those people will not adopt it willingly. They've done these pilot programs. One was done, I think, in Nigeria, and one was done in the Bahamas, and like 10% of people adopted it. You can't function on a CBDC where only 10% of the people adopt it. So if you really, truly are thinking this through long term, you've got good thinkers that just say, hey, guys, we need to make an agreement with all of the biggest powers to reset. And what does a reset look like? Dollar for dollar equivalent, write it off. I mean, what do businesses do when they get people who don't pay? It gets to a certain point and you're like, hey, we're just going to have to write that off.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're going to sell that to you as, hey, look at this is awesome, man. We got rid of all of this debt that we owe ourselves. Each of these countries has come together and said, hey, we'll write it off too. Let's all do it at the same time. But let's put this CBDC in place. Folks, it is so odd and wonderful that here we are. We see a vertically aligned ecosystem of the Pulsechain and Richard Hart. So here's the thing, Brandon, I don't think, Richard Hart is one of the smartest people I've ever seen, but I feel like there's something else going on in this that's provision for all of us to be a part of something that's not under the control of centralized parties. And it feels strangely divinely appointed. Maybe it's how I see the world, but I'm telling you, I don't think anyone's that smart. And the fact that this timing is coming together that provides for people outside of this system that, you know, if you look at the Bible, this is potentially the mark of the beast, folks. This is the stuff where it's got CBDCs, it's got your social credit score, it's got all your digital ID stuff in it. And it's like, when do you do that? Well, you have to have a crisis. And why not have one that seems positive by erasing all the debt and going, hey, if you want to move forward in this new robot world of AI, you got to have this wallet and you've got to have our new CBDC.
Yeah, it's like the screwed up part about all this, and this is how you contrast cryptocurrency from traditional finance. You know, we don't have to be in a situation in cryptocurrency like they are in traditional finance. We don't have to balance the budget in cryptocurrency. Okay.
Right.
We don't have to go and raise interest rates or decrease interest rates because we don't have the ability to. It's programmed in. Okay.
Yeah.
And we, you know, we don't have to cut social funding, and, you know, we don't have to, you know, subsidies. We don't have to worry about social safety nets. We don't have to raise taxes. We don't have to decrease taxes. This system operates outside of governmental control. That's what's so important. When I see these comments from Jerome Powell saying, I don't understand why there's any underlying intrinsic value in cryptocurrency. They really believe this, okay? And they don't understand why this is important. Or, Matt, actually, I don't believe that Jerome Powell doesn't understand.
Yeah.
I know that there are certain points in his life when he's on the treadmill at home, or he's cooking dinner, or he's in the shower by himself, and he's thinking, he's like, they're all right.
Yeah.
But I can't say anything because there's too much at risk here.
Yep.
I can't walk it back.
No.
We have to absolutely destroy the status quo to get things back to normal. But here's the problem. We're so connected globally and economically that it's like this. If you go and you smoke a bunch of meth and then you go in the gym, you're going to be able to work like crazy. Right. And compared to somebody who's not, and you do that 5 or 10 or 15 years, you'll be dead in 10 years. The other guy will still be alive and being productive, and he'll be alive for much longer. The problem that we have here is, in the short term, everybody is competing for every dollar and dime, and they're willing to take that inflation. They're willing to take the inflation from the Treasury, and that is their drug. And, you know, if the United States makes the right decision to correct things, they will fall behind in the short term, and they don't want to do that because they have to hold on to that power, which means they have to do what everybody else is doing around them. You can make the same case for steroids, for example. Yeah, you can lift really heavy things, but you'll be crippled or dead in 10 or 15 years, or 15 or 20 years. While the other guy is benching 225 until he's 70 years old, you know? So
that's right.
It's a really, really messy situation that we've gotten ourselves into. And it's going to take a lot of leadership to get us out of it, man.
Wow. 177 people here, Rags.
Yeah.
It literally puts a spring in my step. I'm like, let's go. Here's the cool thing. So we don't know what's going to happen. We know that depending on what happens at 2:30 with the FOMC meeting, it's going to be an indication. And I think that you said there's probably this case of no change indicates weakness. 0.25 says, well, we're concerned. 0.5 says we're on track.
Yep.
But we're willing to break the backs of the banks.
Yep.
So we're going to see that. Well, are they ready? Is this basically the time that they're going to crash the system, right? Because they got to understand at some point in time they'll do this. But, you know, I think a lot of people think that, well, we just held a meeting and we just decided to do this because of current information. But what you don't realize is these people are centralized planners. They've been running these scenarios over and over and over again. They know how these things work, and they know that they've lost control. And so how do you gain control back? Because they're not just going to give it up. But I think what's really amazing is you said that, you know, Jerome Powell in the shower is not talking about, you know, he doesn't want to give airtime to DeFi. Why? Because he doesn't have control of it. And so what are they going to do? They're going to drop the hammer on every single fiat on-ramp and off-ramp, every single centralized exchange, every single thing that everyone thinks is crypto.
Yep.
And we're going to be the beneficiaries, my friends. And so what do you mean? Like, how are we going to benefit from this absolute implosion? Well, here's the thing. I look at, let's talk about this in real practical terms for people who don't, think about this every single day. So let's say a pool of Hex USDC.
Mm-hmm.
What happens, in your opinion, to USDC if all of this kind of crazy reset stuff happens and people agree across the banks to say, hey, let's wipe it clean, let's go CBDCs? What happens to USDC?
So here's what you got to understand about USDC. Everybody thinks that USDC is backed 1-for-1 with the dollar. It's not. That, I think 20 to 25% is actually backed by the dollar. The rest are backed by treasury bonds. All right. That's important to know first and foremost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they were to, if the US dollar were to suffer a catastrophic failure, you got to understand 75% of that backing is in treasury and treasury bonds. And here's the thing with that. The government is going to, if there is a new currency, they're going to find a way to back those treasury bonds up with whatever they replace it with.
Right.
So there's two things to point out. USDC, in the worst bear market ever, survived a run on the bank. They survived it.
Yeah.
There are obvious, and I want to point this out. USDC started pumping back up prior to deposits being opened back up on Monday. Starting Sunday, prior to that, somebody was injecting liquidity into USDC to get the peg back. So that shows me that there are powerful people in this world that want to make sure that USDC succeeds. Not only that, USDC is very, very closely tied with assets that are controlled by the United States Treasury. I think that USDC is going to be pegged as one of those entities that are going to be playing ball with the government moving forward. So to answer your question, if there is a catastrophic failure, I don't really see USDC as one of those entities that are going to be failing, as evidenced by them being bailed out this go around.
Wow. So to kind of consolidate all that stuff, here's the thing I think is incredible. When people lose confidence in the system, right, there's a run on the bank. When people lose confidence in the system, they basically hoard. And so as people are fearful and scared, they're going to, they're running on the bank. So they're going to find a way to try to satiate this fear, right? They do this as a reset, let's say. And how are we going to be the beneficiaries of this benefit? Well, here's the thing. When you change into a new system, what you have is your faith goes into another position, right? You become on the defensive. And so what do people do? Well, in the past, they went to gold, right? They went to commodities that they knew, all right, this is going to withstand this. This is going to be a hedge against this. Well, think about this. Trustless yield in things like Hex are going to become extremely powerful because they're going to clamp down. This is going to be like prohibition on alcohol, but it's going to be a prohibition on what normal people think is crypto. Right? This is centralized crypto, centralized banking. They want to get a hold of this thing and say, no, we're running crypto. We are going to have a piece of the action. Our CBDCs are going to be the thing. And so as all this pressure comes, it doesn't affect DeFi, true DeFi, properly decentralized DeFi, Hex, for example. But Richard Hart, the absolute innovator and genius that he is, he saw everything in advance. It's like, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, right? He knew these things were coming under attack, even when it wasn't in the mainstream vernacular. And look what happened with the Twitter files. So we've got ourselves an amazing opportunity because I believe a lot more money is going to be coming into DeFi because it's predictable. It doesn't change. It's based on code and it has trustless yield with no middlemen. It's censorship resistant and it does exactly what Satoshi intended it to do at the beginning. And ultimately, I think we're going to find that it's going to be two systems. There's going to be the freedom and sovereignty system of the vertically aligned ecosystem that is going to ride on the Pulsechain and not be OFAC compliant. I'm praying for that. And then we're going to see all of this stuff on the CBDC side, which in my opinion represents evil. What say you, Brandon?
I agree with all that, man. I think that the answer to everything, is already printed. We know how to get ourselves out of this mess. It's just that they aren't willing to do it. They have to hold on to this system that makes the top 10% or 5% extremely wealthy as compared to the bottom 90 or 95%.
Yeah.
That's why they're holding on to this. I think, Matt, that they want to push out retail banks. I don't think they want local banks anymore.
Yep.
Now, why is that? Think about all the loans across the United States that are financed by these community banks, right?
Yep.
That have to do with small businesses. There is an absolute opportunity for the U.S. government to come in and swoop in and take over all of that, because in their minds, they have to have control over things to keep the system steady.
Yep.
All right. And I think that they look at retail banks all across the country as a risk for them. I really believe that they see it that way.
Yep.
I also think that they hate cryptocurrency because they see it as a lack of control. They need to be able to come in and take control over that too. So we have seen an all-out war on stablecoins. We have seen all-out war on centralized banking. Now, obviously, it's really, really bad. Now, why is it bad? Well, some make the argument that this is really, really bad because there are entities that are attacking these as well. You look at Silverbank, okay? You or Silvergate rather. You look at that, they didn't have to be taken over.
Right.
You know, from a mathematics standpoint and the way that their balance sheet looked, it didn't have to be taken over, but the feds came in and swooped in and said, we're taking it over just in case. And that was a major connection to the crypto world as well.
Yeah.
So you're seeing two things. You're seeing retail banking and retail finance being destroyed, and you're also seeing crypto and crypto finance being destroyed. I think last night in our chat, Matt, we shared something about Sushi Swap, for example, being investigated or being subpoenaed.
Yep.
They're having to sell 15% of their treasury. They're voting on it today to be able to pay for the legal defense against the United States or the SEC.
Yep.
So this is an attack. This is coordinated across many agencies, and there's no debate about it. There are some states, there are some governors that are sticking up for decentralized finance and cryptocurrency because they understand what's at stake.
Yep. Awesome. Folks, this is a big, big moment. It's not just a big moment for Pulsechain and for, our community, which it certainly is. It's really, full circle moment for me. The fact that so many people are on this stream, Brandon, is so encouraging. We're back, folks. You have not waited in vain. We're going to see the launch of Pulsechain's testnet v3, and then probably not long after that, we're going to get it to mainnet. Be paying attention to Twitter and Richard Hart and what he's doing. We'll obviously be popping the popcorn with Crypto Panda here soon. But folks, it's getting close, but it's also coinciding with a massive transition in the legacy financial system. One of the things I talk about a lot is Babylon burning within an hour. This would definitely be the black swan, Babylon burning in an hour. But here's the thing. Where there is vision, there is also provision. And I really believe that Richard Hart has seen this stuff coming. And I think what's going to be amazing is, folks, you're going to be redeemed and restored in this process. And I would say this to you. If you find yourself in abundance and the money gets decentralized because everyone comes rushing into the Pulsechain, into DeFi, into, these stores of value that have trustless yield, and it goes to the moon and back. Here's the thing, folks. Please do not set up new gates and lord it over people. I don't believe that average people, the regular people, it says the meek will inherit the earth. You know who the meek are? Hexicans, baby. Regular salt of the earth people, not hedge fund managers, not the top 1%, regular people. And you saw this coming and you didn't know why, but you find yourself in the Pulsechain, the PulseX, and all this stuff. Richard Hart, if you're watching, please continue what you're doing. Continue advocating for the little guy. And I really, truly believe that this is going to be a watershed moment in finance. And it may happen today at 2:30, but there's so many other factors at play. We don't have a crystal ball, but what do they say? Buy the rumor, sell the news. Yeah. And this is the rumor. Pulsechain is about to launch, meaning the testnet of V3, and that means mainnet. And folks, it's going to coincide with one of the biggest transitions in the financial system. And you think it's good. You're like, well, it'd be nice if it had like 100x. Folks, if this transition happens, well, Brandon, what do you think is possible? if all of these things come to pass and all of this money gets poured into DeFi because it's the only safe place on the planet. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's all I'll say.
I mean, hang on to your hats, folks. This is, and we didn't anticipate this when we sacrificed for freedom of speech and freedom of movement. We just didn't. We didn't.
It's a beautiful journey, Matt.
It is.
You come into these things to just, people come into crypto to get rich.
Yeah.
And then you get sucked up into the narrative about why it's actually so important. And it's a path and a journey that everybody goes down. So it's really nice to wake up. We are the financial red pill of the world.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to address some of the, I would say this, Daniel, and I see all the time. It's only V3. Hope the mainnet starts before October. There's many people in the chat who have been basically saying, listen, I've heard this before. And I'm going to say this. I have said this before. Oh, it's coming, and hyping people up and getting everyone excited. And I've been excited myself. I'm going to tell you something. There's something different here because of what Richard went through with the May 15th of last year issue. He is very cautious about what he says. And because this is V2 of Ethereum that's been forked, there's so many details. And the fact that they kind of had to restart in May and go, no, he's not going to talk about something unless he's sure of it. And so this is, and he's not the best predictor of it, but I don't know that this is just a rerun. It's a different set of circumstances. And this was very difficult to build. I mean, this is a battleship, my friends. And, keep an eye out. We don't know what is about to come, but Hex is pumping. You got to tune into Rag's stream. Rags, are you going to be streaming the FOMC stuff? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so we're going to try to do it. I'm going to stream this afternoon. I've got another guy that asked me to be on here shortly. So
okay,
I'll hit that up and then I'll stream and we'll go over all this. So I'm looking forward to having everybody there. I'm just kidding.
As soon as you get that thumbnail set and everything, please, everyone needs to hear this stuff that Rags is going to share. His perspective on the Fed and all this stuff, I think, is extremely unique. And I think it's right on. Please, when you see Brandon send out that deal, will you please retweet it? Tell everybody you know, folks, it's time. And let's see what happens. Because I think, Brandon, what happens at this meeting is going to, tell the tale. And I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be watching and listening to what your perspective of this is. But folks, congratulations. Congratulations that you stuck it out this long and were able to make it through the bear market. What do you have to say to people? Kind of last thoughts.
Guys, this is different, and I'll just say this without getting into too much detail. We are afforded some pretty cool opportunities being a founder and a co-founder, right?
Yeah.
And one of those is being able to be in some of these back channels and back rooms. And I'll just say that this isn't a fake out, folks. I'll just say that. That's all I can say. This is not a fake out. So just be happy. Huge step forward towards mainnet. So very excited, folks.
Yeah. So put a smile on your face, kiss your kids, hug your wife. Let's go. Brandon, thanks for joining again. It is super awesome. Dude, we've come a long way, my friend. We've come a long way. And
we've learned a lot, dude. We've learned a
lot.
Wow.
Absolutely. Folks, thanks for joining the Pulse today. My name is Matt. This is Crypto Heartbeat. Thanks so much for all that you do. Congratulations on sticking this thing out, and let's go win. Take care of yourself. We'll catch you next time.